What's up, family? This is Rational Lunatic Media, and we are back with another wild story for you. Today's story is a little hard to hear. Uh, it has to do with the death of an 8-year-old child who was beat with a rolling pin. But Georgia has fired, or I'm sorry, arrested I think 2 or 3 social workers, or they've been charged with the death of this child. So yeah, hard to hear. If you don't want to listen to this one, skip on to the next one. No worries. But before we get started, kick that like button, punch that subscribe button, flick that ding notification bell, and stay up to date on all my latest content. Catch me on TikTok, YouTube, Patreon. Not Safe for Life News on Patreon. I'm about to drop the membership from $5 to $2 a month. Um, and if you want to, catch me on those, or you can catch me on Twitter or Reddit. And with that being said, let's get into this one, shall we? All right. This story was done by Fox 5 Atlanta. Headline says, State fires another DFCS worker over Barrows child death case. Ex-DFCS employee Alexandria Armah, fired over mishandled abuse case, seeks apology after a manager was found responsible. Manager Sasha Carr terminated after, this is a quick brief, terminated after external probe shows she prematurely closed abuse inquiry before 8-year-old's death. Despite findings, Georgia DFCS maintains Armah's partial responsibility, declining to rescind statements or reinstate her. Inspector General's ongoing investigation reveals a culture of rushing case closures with Georgia's Child Welfare Agency. And here's the story. Lawrenceville, Georgia. A woman has been fired by Georgia DFCS and blamed for mishandling an abuse investigation that might have saved a little girl's life, says her former bosses owe her an apology. Alexandria Armah expressed that to the Fox 5 I-team after learning the State Division of Family and Children Services has fired a third employee over the beating death of 8-year-old Sarah Barrows. It's Sayra. How do you pronounce that? Anyway, let's continue. So Sarah Barrows firing the very manager who Armah insisted for months was the one who actually closed an earlier complaint. So basically, she and another employee were fired for closing this case early, and the little girl ended up dying. And now the manager has been fired, and this employee who was fired a couple days before, who was trying to tell them, hey, we didn't close it, our manager actually closed the case, is now trying to get an apology and possibly her job back, because she's saying, see, it wasn't us, now that you guys know it was the manager, but the company's saying that, well, you guys all worked together, you were part of the case, you know what I mean? And which is kind of true. Like, the manager may have closed it, but if in that case, if you think a child's in danger, you go over that manager's head, right? You go up above and beyond and go, no, we're not closing this. And if I have to go above your head, then that's what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? Like, if you really think that that child's in danger, then what's stopping you from going above your manager's head and going, to her boss and going, look at this case. This is not good. I've been there, and this is what's going on, and this child's in danger. So no excuses, I don't think. You know what I mean? Let me know what you think in the comments. You think there's excuses for that? You think, oh well, the manager, she's the manager. She's my boss, and she makes the ultimate call. Not my problem. No, I don't think there's an excuse for that. I think as an adult and as a DFCS worker, you definitely have some responsibility as well. But let's continue with the story. So they fired the very manager who Armand insisted for months was the one who actually closed an earlier complaint about the Barrows family too quickly, not her. Records show DFCS fired social services specialist supervisor Sasha Carr on August 19th after an outside investigation found she's the one who pushed to end the earlier case a few days before Christmas, then took the final steps to make it happen. Quote, I want my name cleared, Arma told the I team. I want them to retract everything that they said. But an apology from the state's child welfare agency or even an offer of her job back isn't happening. The agency apparently still holds Arma partly responsible. Asked if DFCS will change any of its earlier statements about Arma, the agency responded by email through a spokeswoman, quote, no. DFCS leaders declined interview requests for this story. The I team reached out to Carr by phone and email and tried knocking on her door, but she did not respond. DFCS fired both Arma and case manager Shitile Wingard in February, saying they mishandled a 2023 complaint from Sarah's school that included disturbing comments allegedly made by her father. According to records obtained by the I team, Harbins Elementary had reported that Father Sledier Barrows, Cleater Barrows, God, their names are so hard to pronounce, referred to the child as a demon and admitted that the stepmother loses her cool and disciplines the child inappropriately, causing bruising. If an elementary school calls you and says this, and you push to close the case early, why? Come on, man. And I know she didn't push it, her manager did, but still, she was obviously one of the caseworkers on that complaint. She could have done a better job, 100%. Records show Gwinnett County DFCS closed that complaint after 38 days on December 22nd. Sarah died about a month later on January 30th. Her stepmother, Natila Barros, became angry with her for playing with her toast and not doing her schoolwork. A statement issued by the Gwinnett County DA's office said an initial spanking allegedly escalated into the stepmother retrieving a rolling pin from the kitchen. Then she struck the child 10 to 20 times on the back of the head, neck, and arms. A Gwinnett prosecutor said in a March court hearing. What the fuck? Clitter Barrows is accused of knowing about his wife's abuse, but leaving his daughter in her care anyway. I'll tell you something right now. I don't give a flying fuck. If I'm with a woman and I have my child there, and his stepmother, or if I have a daughter and her stepmother hits them with a rolling pin, I don't condone hitting a woman. I will not do it myself. But if they hit my child in the back of the head and neck with a rolling pin, I am beating the dog shit out of that woman. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Not at that point. Like, say what you want. Leave me nasty comments. Tell me whatever you want to tell me. But for that dad to stand around and let his stepmom let his daughter get beat with a, you know what a rolling pin is, right? Those big old wooden in the back of the head and neck, and didn't lay her out, break her dude. I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. That's it. I'm going to jail. My kids can probably go to DFCS or to the grandparents or something, but I'm gonna get locked up because I'm going to beat that woman bad. Like I don't care. You don't hit a kid, man. You don't do that. No. I remember being when I was a kid. I had babysitters that used to like beat us with like wooden spoons and stuff, but never. But a rolling pin, come, dude. Those things are. Yeah, she died. She's dead. She died. That sucks, man. Anyway, let's continue. Sorry for the rant. Let's continue. Cleater Barrows is accused of knowing about his wife's abuse but leaving his daughter in her care anyway. The parents are being tried separately in Gwinnett County, with Cleater Barrows currently on trial for a third time after two hung juries. I mean, was he home? And I mean, obviously, he called his daughter a demon. Told the elementary school his daughter's a demon, and said that her stepmom does discipline her a little inappropriately. Like he already knew. He already knew what she was capable of doing. She left bruises on his daughter, and he let it happen. Like, bro, dude, he better hope he better hope he don't go to prison, man. In the weeks after Sarah's killing, personnel records show DFCS zeroed in on Armagh and Wingard, the two employees. In an email recommending their terminations, then Gwinnett DFCS Director Travis Moses cited a quote, pattern of closing cases, particularly when child vulnerability is high, without fully assessing for safety of the children, saying they should be let go for the reckless assessment decisions and conduct. So this is a pattern. This is something they do because they don't want to do their job. They're just signing off on cases. You know what I mean? Collecting a paycheck and not doing their job. And that's just sick, man. That's just sick, bro. And because they don't want to do their job and they just want to do a half-ass job and collect the paycheck and don't really care about the welfare of these children, kids are getting abused, and this little girl had to lose her life because the school actually tried to step up, but other adults didn't care. They all have a responsibility in this. But Armagh later spoke out to the Fox 5 I team, saying that during most of the case, including when it was being closed, she wasn't even in Gwinnett County, but in a classroom in Griffin for mandatory supervisor training. Now that throws a wrench in the wheel, doesn't it? Like, I mean, if she's not even on the case and she's in a different county in classes for training, for supervisor training, and the case has been passed off to somebody else because she has to be here, then how can you hold her responsible for that? It sounds like this whole office it's just no good, and they're trying to pass the buck. You know what I mean? Initially, she blamed unnamed superiors in the Gwinnett DFCS office. Quote, I feel like my name was tarnished, Armagh said in March, to protect and to save their livelihoods. Definitely sounds like it might have been. In a second interview in May, Armagh identified Carr, who ranked immediately above her, as the person who actually closed the earlier abuse allegation. The state stood by Armagh's firing, though, responding to the I-team's questions. Well, yeah, what are they gonna do? Retract it and act like, put their ass on the line? You know what I mean? Act like, oh, we made a mistake, and then they're gonna start getting looked into. Yeah, they're trying. It sounds like they're trying to pass the buck, like straight up. The state stood by Armand's firing, though. Responding to the I-Team's questions, DFCS provided what it described as a line of data from its case management system, showing an investigation conclusion of Barros Cledir on 12/22/2023 with the name Arma Alexander. So they're saying that she signed off, like her name is on the paperwork that signed off on it. It would take outside eyes to go deeper. State records show Georgia Department of Human Services Commissioner Candace Broke asked for an impartial probe by the State Inspector General's office in May, a week after Fox 5 aired a third story on Armand's firing. Moses, the Gwinnett DFCS director, when Sarah died, has been promoted to a DFCS regional director. In a May meeting, Carr told him, "I did not close that case," according to an August 14 letter from Inspector General Nigel Lane to the DHS commissioner. The I-Team obtained that letter in an open records request for Carr's personnel file. But the Inspector General, quote, found evidence to the contrary. The letter says, including a December 22nd email where Carr told Arma and her caseworker to submit the case for approval by noon that day. When the Inspector General checked the DFCS case management system, it found Carr took the final step in closing the Barrows case. The letter to Commissioner Broke says, Shines revealed that CPS investigation was approved by Ms. Carr, the manager, which closed the case and contradicted her statement. So why didn't Gwinnett DFCS know that already? The agency said in a written answer to that question, quote, "This case is complex. There were several shortcomings, but sometimes it can be difficult to ascertain who holds the ultimate responsibility due to case coordination and shared decision making." The letter says the Inspector General took issue with Carr's dishonesty, concluding she lied, quote, she lied, regarding her involvement in closing the case. The letter also says Carr blamed DHS culture, saying overdue cases are frowned upon. Arma had also described such a culture in the Gwinnett office to the I-Team. So it sounds like if they're taking too long and they're on a case, their superiors are coming down on them like, we've got too many cases. You need to get rid of some of these and and just figure it out, and really pushing them and not letting them do their job properly. Man, we need to do better. Like this country, this government, our system, we just need to do better. Quote, a lot of case closures is about the numbers as opposed to the real issues that are going on with families and children, Arma said last month. Quote, I feel that there were other things that could have been done in the Barrows case. One of those things being the case manager going out and seeing that kid again. A letter from DFCS to Carr informing her she's being separated accuses her of negligence in the performance of your job duties, citing a list of policy violations. DFCS told the I-Team her firing was also because of, quote, the state IG's letter, which outlines various performance issues and policy violations. Other DFCS records raise questions about why the agency didn't focus on Carr to begin with, while Arma had a clean disciplinary record and had just been promoted to supervisor. Carr's personnel file shows her being disciplined 5 times. So here you are with the employee, no disciplinary record, who's being promoted to supervisor, and the supervisor who's been disciplined 5 different times, and you blame it on the employee who's not even in the county, who's getting supervisor training, and you don't, like, honestly, like, that's what they're saying. Like, why wasn't Carr, the manager, looked into? Why was she not already known about? She already had an issue. Like, how was it not known that she's the one who actually signed off and pushed for the case to get closed? Yeah, it's ridiculous. I kind of feel bad for the employee now. I retract my earlier statements. And this is what happens when you don't get all the information. This is kind of how you get a lot of people innocently convicted, because jury really only gets like some of the information and doesn't really know the full picture. Yeah, this happens all the time. I'm guilty of doing it right now, but I retract my further statement. I don't think she was responsible. Not really. uh, Carr's personnel file shows her being disciplined 5 times, including for closing cases without reviewing them properly. So she had a pattern of doing this. The records describe that as her responsibility to make final decisions on cases and to close them when needed. Inspector General Lang said his investigation into the case closing remains ongoing. Sarah Barrow's death is also being investigated. The Georgia Office of Child Advocate. Uh, so I think I misspoke earlier. I think I said social worker has been arrested. It doesn't sound like no one has been arrested except for the parents. But 3 people have been fired. 2 employees and 1 supervisor. Um, yeah, that's rough, man. Like, if the employees really didn't, if they're not the ones that were involved in closing the case, and it was up to the manager, um, where she was supposed to, review it. She should have went to the family's house, sit down with the child, um, interview her by herself. You know what I mean? Gosh, that just, I don't know, man. My heart goes out to this little girl. I hope she's in a better place. Um, I hope God watches over her. It sucks, man. Um, no child should be abused like that. There's no reason for it. You know what I mean? I don't know if y'all have kids. I do, and I don't know, man. That's rough. Like, I couldn't imagine doing that to any child. So yeah, I hope she's in a better place. I hope she's her soul's at peace, and she's happy wherever she's at. It sucks that she had a stepmom like that and a father that just didn't care enough to protect her. Um, but anyway, if you made it, you made it to the end with me. Thank you for being here. I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all are doing okay. Um, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words at the moment. Like I said, this is kind of a hard one to hear, hard one to read, but we got through it together. So here we are. With that being said, if you haven't done it yet, hit that like and subscribe button, and stay tuned for the next one. And until the next one, y'all, as we always say, stay healthy, stay free, and stay wild, y'all.